like love, 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 and music. La la la, love, 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 and music.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I am Jay Lee. This is Jay Lee's Corner, and this is our review for The Real Housewives of Atlanta, Season 10, Episode 6. It is Sunday, getting ready for this work week. Hope everyone had a great weekend. I had a good weekend, and yeah. So let's just get into this review because I have to watch The Walking Dead. It is the season finale, and it's an hour and a half, and I have to review that today as well. So let's get it started. So this particular episode, picks up right where the last one ended. Portia and Nene ass is still arguing back and forth, and I'm like, I'm tired of the arguing, really. I thought the argument was over at the at the end of the last episode. But however, they're still going back and forth. You kind of see how Portia is sitting on one side, and only Sheree is on that side. You see how Nene and mostly all the other ladies are on the other side because they're kind of like trying to keep the women separate. And, everyone is kind of like, I won't say picking sides, but picking sides basically. And Nene is telling Portia how you was wrong for what you did to Candy. You was dead ass wrong for what you did to Candy. And Portia all like, oh, so now you fighting Candy's battles? And she's like, yes. And then Kenya was like, well, actually, we all feel that way. Well, Kenya, not only y'all, honey, all of America feel that way. I don't know why Portia keeps my camera too close. I don't know why Portia keeps acting as if people don't have a reason to be upset with her for the part that she played in the whole Candy lie. The whole Candy made up story about the drugging or whatever like that. Portia to me has not owned her part of it. She still kind of blames Phaedra for what happened with it and everything. So, at that point you hear Nene screaming, you shouldn't even be here, bitch. You shouldn't even be here, bitch. And neither should you. They going back and forth. Neither should you. And then that's what pissed Nene off. Bitch, I was the motherfucking original. I started this shit. Without me, you wouldn't be here. It was just, it was a full-on craziness of an argument between the two, And, as Nene is yelling, I'm saying, I started this, if it wasn't me, you wouldn't even be here. I believe that, a little bit, but at the same time, y'all all on the same show. Nene is an original, absolutely. She's been on the show the longest of all the women, even though she left, I think, for 2 seasons. So kind of she evens out with Candy, probably, Candy and Cynthia. But I think they all are the reason they all are there. Hell, if you ask most people, they think the whole cast should be shaken up and some people should go because it is getting old and still or whatever. But you know what I'm saying? We all love the cast, but we all also hate the cast. It just depends on which week it is. And, as Portia said, then why am I here? Then why am I here? If you ask America, Portia, we don't know why you there. Honestly, we don't. I feel like when they let Phaedra's ass go, they should have let Portia's ass go too because they both played a part in the lie that was told. You know what I'm saying? Let's call a spade a spade. Portia isn't that interesting. You know what I'm saying? She really isn't. And I think the reason she isn't that interested, in my personal opinion, is because, again, she does not take accountability or responsibility for things that she do. It's always a reason behind it or some kind of story behind it why she did something, and she can put someone else in it to why, Portia, honey, I don't know why you're there. I can take you or leave you. I honestly don't care. So, as Nene and them are yelling, they're all having to lead Nene out of off the patio, wherever they on like the rooftop or something, I don't know. But they're trying to lead her, my hair falling down in the back, to the elevator. So they're kind of like pushing her like, come on, Nene. Come on, Nene. Because Nene like, bitch, I'm the motherfucking reason you here. It's a whole thing going back and forth, and Nene like, you fucked over Candy and she had your back. You messed over Candy. And you kind of see Kenya laughing. You see, we see all Candy's laughing. Simply because Nene is saying to Portia what everyone in America was thinking when they brought Portia's ass back. And how Portia was sitting around acting as if she is oblivious to the reason why people have issues with her. Now, do I think Candy's issue should be Nene's issue? No, I do not. But the reason that Portia is saying that Nene was saying that she should be fired was because of what Portia did to Candy. So I get how she's bringing that up too. Like, you was wrong. Because that's the reason she said that you should be fired. So that's a part of it. But, it is what it is. So, Nene get on the elevator. She's leaving. And, because Nene, Candy, Marlo, Kenya, and Cynthia all leave together. And only Sheree's left for Portia. Because Sheree, she also don't have no dang on screen, no storyline. So, of course, she's going to sit with Portia. So, Portia's sitting there, she's kind of crying. She's all emotional and everything. And you know what? I hate to say this, but I honestly didn't care. Not because I don't think a person who is in pain or crying don't need attention, don't need consoling. But I just feel like Portia, in more ways than one, has alienated herself based on something she did. And she hasn't fully owned her part in it. You know what I'm saying? And my thing is, a part of fully owning your part is not saying, well, Phaedra said this, and, I only played a small part. It don't matter. Like, don't try to say how much a part you played in it. Just say, you know what? I'm wrong for what I did. Don't put a percentage on how much you did or don't do any of that. You played a part in spreading this story and just own up to that. And, Portia's in house. She felt like all the ladies are trying to break her down. Girl, bye. No one at that table was trying to break you down. What they were doing was, you know what I'm saying? You did something wrong. And they are just holding you to task for what you did wrong because no one's really discussed it. It hasn't been resolved. It's kind of still open-ended, even though Candy is not really talking about it much. We know how pissed off she was because we saw how hurt she was at the reunion show when it came out. And also, people literally still be thinking that she out here Bill Cosby and bitches, and she's not. So something that you and Phaedra did will forever be attached to her name. So that ain't something you can just kind of brush up on the rug like it's no big deal. And then Portia said, Nene out here trying to smear my name, having a smear campaign, talking about. I said, bitch, really? Are you serious? You gonna say that Nene was out here trying to have a smear campaign on TV when you and Phaedra for a full season kept saying that Candy wanted to drug and rape you? That's a smear campaign. That's what you call a smear campaign. So that's one thing with Portia. She likes to keep pointing the fingers at other people. But you literally said that Nene was having a smear campaign against you when Nene did she was on Watch What Happens Live. A caller called in and asked her who would she get rid of, and she said you and Phaedra. She didn't say you. She said you and Phaedra, based on what y'all did. So how can you say that that's a smear campaign when you took a whole season saying you wanted to drug and rape me? You know what I'm saying? You did that. Bush. Look, Portia pissed me off. I wrote, bitch, what? Like, I wrote that when she said that because I'm looking like, you sound stupid. That's not true. And then, she said how she never spoke dirt or talked about Nene on Dish Nation. You're lying. Yes, you have. I've watched Dish Nation before. I've seen clips of you speaking on Nene. You might not have said that Nene should be fired, but you've definitely spoke negatively about her. You've definitely thrown shade her way. The same way when she did Watch What Happens Live, she threw shade your way. It's the same. But again, Portia is playing this innocent. I didn't do nothing. She said I was talking about her. No, I didn't. She did a smear campaign against me. I didn't do nothing. Girl, bye. Then she said how, she then said how, Nene's done stuff to every woman here. The one thing I can say about Nene, has Nene gotten into it with everybody on the show? Absolutely. She got into it with Candy, Cynthia, Kenya, Marlo, Sheree, everyone. But eventually, the ladies all have some kind of conversation and Nene take accountability for whatever she was doing wrong. Like with Marlo, she came back and admitted that she was only mad because she was friends with Kenya. Even with Candy, she admitted that, her and Candy was both just too much alike and they kept bumping heads. Nene has never, eventually, she owns up to her bullshit. It just takes some time. Phaedra. I can't. Portia, on the other hand, doesn't do that. Portia forever plays victim, no matter how long it's been since whatever she did was brought to the light. And I think that's the reason why some people tolerate Nene more than anything else, because eventually she'll admit, you know, whatever, it might be in private and they'll squash up, but she'll at least talk to the person. You know, she says how Nene tried to have a bullying campaign against her just because she's Portia at the table. Bitch, lies. No, she didn't. And I don't like when adults use the word bullying in the wrong way. No one is bullying you. Y'all had an argument. It's not bullying. And the thing about it is, they don't fuck with you because of what you did. So that's not bullying. Bullying is something completely different. You're not being bullied. You are an adult who needs to stand up for yourself, but also take accountability in what you did. And don't play victim, because you're not being bullied. And just kind of leave it at that. You know, it kind of pissed me off. So the other ladies are up in the room having a conversation, basically. And Nene is saying how, you know, Portia don't own up her shit. She doesn't at all. I said that too, you know. And then when Marlon says, maybe we should talk to her, you know, someone could go talk to her one-on-one, like as a little sister. Or not as a big sister, and her as a little sister. And Nene was like, that girl damn near 40. She's not a kid. And I agree, no one on this show needs to be treated as a little sister, because all of them is grown as adult women. Ain't no little sister, I mean, I get that you want to treat someone like you're older than them, but ain't no little sister, let me take you up under my wing. Y'all are all a grown, adult, like-minded or not like-minded women with y'all own opinions, y'all own businesses. Y'all are all grown. Nene does not need to little sister, baby sister Portia, and no one else does either. So, you know, Nene explains too, like, she's mad. You know, all I did was answer a question and watch what happens live. And, you know, I said them both. I agree with that. And then Kenya even brings up how Portia's problem is that she won't admit when she does wrong to anyone else, which is absolutely true, you know, because Portia continues to blame Phaedra on what happened. She just keeps saying, well, Phaedra told me this and Phaedra played me too. You was Candy's friend. You know damn well Candy wasn't gonna. You knew Candy wasn't gonna do that, but you still went along, and for a whole season blasted that girl and lied on that girl and made it that whole goddamn rumor that ruined that girl's reputation for a little bit of a minute. You know, and Cynthia says how, you know, friendships work both ways, which they do. And she's like, we all know how we have been there for Portia as her friend, but Portia rarely ever does anything for us. You know, in friendship is give and take. You have to reciprocate stuff. And Portia don't see that, and that's the issue with her. So, you know, Candy brings up how, you know, her and Portia can never be friends again. She would never look at her the same way, but she don't mind being cordial in group settings. I think that's an adult thing the adult things to do, you know, and it's fine or whatever. That was just the first 10 minutes of the goddamn show. I'm like, y'all people, it was just too many conversations going on at the same time. So the next day we see how they're kind of going to split up into a group because of the whole fight from the night before, which I think is smart. You know, they were going to have Portia Marlowe, Cynthia, and Sheree in one group, and then like Kenya, Candy, Kenya, Candy, and whoever else. I can't think right now. Then the other people will be on the other side, because of the whole situation, which I thought was smart or whatever, because who wants to be around somebody who they don't get along with all day? We see how they all get on a trolley, and they are, well, no, wait, one part, Portia called her mama and was saying, you know, we got into this whole huge, you know, situation yesterday. Me and Nene was arguing, and they had to hold her back from getting at me. She had to get up out her seat, and they had to, and I'm like, you make it seem as if y'all was finna fight. I mean, was Nene aggressive? Yes, she was. But girl, please, you the only person on this show who was literally dragged the bitch across the stage. So you can't act like, oh my God, I was so scared. Girl, bye. So anyway, you know, the ladies are on the trolley now. They're all on the trolley going to their drop-off area to be, you know, do the two separate things. And, you know, Kenya brings up how she has to leave early to go home to bury her grandmother. And that she's just talking about how she's doing okay and how she's going to, you know, have to go home to do it. You know, she's getting emotional. But then we see Portia getting emotional. I'm looking like, what the fuck is wrong with Portia? She in her confession says how, you know, hearing about Kenya burying her grandmother reminds her of her family member that she lost. I guess she lost an uncle. And she says she feel bad because that she's not in a good place with any of the women to even bring up the loss in her family. Now, you know, she gets up and she walks away. You know, holding her face like, oh, I'm sad. And they see her, you know, emotional or whatever. They're like, what the hell's going on with her? So Cynthia, you know what I'm saying, being the Catherine of the Savums, goes over to talk to Portia. Now, the weird thing about it is that when Cynthia went over to go talk to Portia, Portia kind of didn't bring up that she was emotional because she was thinking about the death in her family. What they showed her say was, you know, she was seeing Kenya getting emotional, and there's so much going on, and everything that's happening. I'm looking like, which is sad because I was confused and I was kind of over it for that moment. Um, Cynthia then brings up, it's like, I know you and Nene had our issues and everything, but don't forget, me and Nene has been through this before. At one point in time, Nene also said on the show that I should be fired. They then flash back to when the time when Nene and Cynthia weren't good friends, and someone again asked her who should be fired. She said Cynthia. She said because Cynthia kind of doesn't bring anything to the show at that point in time, and I think that season was probably true. But again, it was more of a thing of they asked her a question, she gave a response. I think at one point in time, Nene might be the only cast member who is always, because someone always calls in and asks her who should be fired. And she always gives an answer. You know what I'm saying? And it honestly depends on what's going on the show or who she's not vibing with at that point in time. So, it is what it is. But Cynthia says how when Nene did that, it took her time. Well, they were not friends for a couple of years, but then they were able to get over it, have a conversation, and she was able to forgive and move on from it. And she said that Portia should hopefully be able to do the same thing. And the Portia says how she can admit that Nene has really been there for her, but she just don't like what Nene said. Honey, I ain't care, because again, I'm like, Cynthia, you need to stop trying to be Captain Save all the time and stop being that neutral party. And sometimes just stay in your seat, girl. Stay in your seat. What were they doing? So yeah, they all kind of go little separate ways and whatnot. Cynthia ends up not going with the Portia group because she's like, I had a conversation with Portia already, so I don't have to go with y'all. I'm gonna go with Nene and them. So it was, Nene, it was Nene, Candy, Marlo, and Kenya and Cynthia. And then of course, no, I'm getting so confused. Marlo, Sheree, and Portia was in one group, and the other was in the other group. And Kenya and them took a picture like in front of Alcatraz, with the prison in the background. Lord Jesus, and Nene said that Sheree's husband was probably in the prison because not Sheree's boyfriend. Her prison baby was probably in the prison because he's in prison in real life, and they kind of was laughing about that or whatever. So Candy was like, well, why were you so surprised when she said that she was dating this person? She's like, well, because I knew him from before. And, I was just surprised to see that she was dating him again. She said, because he's a con artist. And she was like, really? And she was like, yeah, he had con like some company like $4 million. And then Candy said, well, I hope you don't, con her out of Chateau Sheree. And Lord Jesus, Kenya was like, well, he can't because it's not in her name. I said, bitch. The jokes kind of broke themselves. Y'all out of prison. Sheree got a prison bag. You know what I'm saying? He's a con artist. Don't con her out of her house. She can't because it ain't her house. It ain't her name. It was just too funny. And she's like, no, no shade. I'm just saying, like, he can't con her out of it because the house ain't in her name. The house is supposed to be her mom's name. Whatever it is, what it is. So, Portia. What was it? Portia? Kenya. Damn it, why can't I think right now? Lord Jesus, am I tired? No, Portia, Sheree, and Marlo come up with a great idea to kind of help lift Kenya's spirits. They're going to throw her a wedding because none of them came to her original wedding. Now, when they first said it, I said, Lord, this can go one or two ways. She's either going to love it or she's going to hate it. And she probably going to hate it, but she might love it. So they kind of call Nene and say, hey, we have this idea to throw her like a little mock wedding. Just to kind of, do something special for her. Because again, she's going through a lot with her grandmother passing away. And, Nene like, okay, that's a good idea. And so they plan this whole wedding. So, they are back at the hotel. And they in like a convention center room or whatever. It's a nice little room with nice little chairs or whatever. And Candy like, oh, this is nice. So Candy like, well, what the groom and who she gonna marry? And so Ron like, oh, the groom coming, he gonna be here. So Candy like, Mark coming, really? I'm so surprised because she said that she didn't want nobody to meet him, but he coming for this. Okay, I'm excited. They had a goddamn on cardboard cutout of a groom with no face. I was like, the shade of it all, because they keep saying her husband's fake. So just the shade of it all. This entirely is just crazy. So Portia brought in some strangers as the guests. Some strangers off the street who came in as a guest. They had like fake doves to throw You know, once the person says I do, Nene was the minister to marry them. They were gonna have Cynthia as the maid of honor. Candy was singing, you know, "Here Comes the Bride." It was quite funny. It was quite hilarious. You know, when they didn't tell Cynthia, so Cynthia didn't know. So when Cynthia walked in, you know, she laughed. Kenya at first was like, "What is going on here? You know, what am I doing?" Because they were like took her coat off. They gave her a bouquet. They put a veil on her head, and she was confused. Like, "Wait, what? What is going on?" Because she walked in, it was like surprise, and it started putting stuff on her. She looked around like, what is going on here? I'm gonna go with it, but I don't know, you know. But she liked it. She laughed. She said it was so stupid that it was funny. And it took her mind off of her grief. So I think that was always a great thing. You know, she wasn't offended. It was funny. It was a fun moment that, you know, you want to see in these kind of shows because it's a happy time and they not fighting and arguing or whatever. And it also show how the ladies can come together and not be beefed out the whole time. So, you know, from there, we see they want to cut the cake. And then, you know, Portia pulled Candy to the side. Like, can I talk to you real quick? Me? I would have said no and kept walking. However, Candy did. You know, Portia pulled her to the side. And she basically just tried to apologize for the role that she played in the whole, we're going to call it rape gate. You know what I'm saying? She said, I want to apologize for my part wholeheartedly, and I'm sorry. I know it hurt you. You know, I know that you might need some time. I know you're not really feeling me like that right now, but I just want to, you know, apologize again and let you know that, you know what I'm saying, I'm very, very, very sorry. And Candy, I mean, because Candy's already said that we can never be friends again like that. Like, this is not going to happen. So, you know, she listened to her, and she just said, you know, well, personally, you know, I just want to be able to be, you know, if we're in a group setting, you know, we can have a good time. We can all be cordial and have, you know, be fine. But other than that, you know, that's how I want to keep it. Meaning, bitch, we ain't going to be friends. Like, I can be around you and be cordial, but just know it ain't going no further because I don't trust you. And, you know, she's like, and that's about it. So, you know, Portia said, oh, okay. And they kind of, you know, left it at that. So it wasn't like mean or rude or petty or whatever. It was a thing of, okay, you apologize. I hear you, but I don't want to deal with you on any kind of friendship level right now. And I, you know, kind of get where that's, you know, how she felt about that. So the last day of it, whatever, they're going to like a wine vineyard. And they're taking a train to, I think it was to Napa Valley to go to the vineyard or whatever. And some kind of way, Jesus, Candy, Portia, and Kenya ended up sitting in the same, you know, sitting across from each other on the trolley, on the train. And I'm like, this is just going to be awkward. So, you know, it wasn't though. You know, they had regular conversation. You know, Kenya brought up how, not Kenya, well, Portia brought up how she is vegan, and Candy, I think Candy asked, well, how long you been vegan? She said, oh, about 3 weeks. So Candy laughed. You know, they were able to laugh a little bit about little stuff. You know, Kenya was able to talk to her too. And they actually just had a cool conversation. And, you know, Kenya brought up how her husband Kenya brought up how her husband likes having her without any makeup and prefers her body to be toned. Which was cool or whatever. We then see how Sheree and them are talking. Sheree brings up her prison bae. And I'm like, Sheree, stop talking about that man in prison because they're going to have all kind of jokes or whatever. And, you know, she says how they were good before he went to prison. How they were, you know, working out or whatever. But then they broke up. They were cool, but they broke up. And then he left. So, Nene says, well, when he get out, is he going to be, is he going to be, what did she say? Is he going to be tricking? And then she's like, what? Tricking what? And she said, tricking the stock like he did when he went there. I'm looking like, did you tell this lady that her husband, well, this man, was tricking stocks to go to prison? Man, look, Nene, and she said it with a straight face. And then Sheree says, oh, no, he's not in there for stocks. It wasn't stocks. You know, it was security and wires fraud. And Nene like, well, bitch, he's in prison. Prison is prison, and the crime is crime. I mean, I was just like, Jesus, this needs to be a offense. So, you know, at one point, Candy was talking to Portia. Candy was saying how, you know, because her and Portia was, like, having, like, little random chit-chat or whatnot. And Candy just said how, in her confessional, that, you know, it will only make her uncomfortable if she's on this train for an hour and Portia's sitting across from her and she has to avoid talking to her. It's like, that would just make me uncomfortable. It's like, again, like I said, I want to be able to be in a room and be comfortable and be cordial and, you know, not have no issue, but we still not gonna be friends. But, you know, I can be, you know, I can have conversation or whatever with her. And no, that's important. Like how she was happy that well, no, what did she say? Because at one point she said to her, I'm happy. Oh yeah, skip right over it. So she said how Portia started saying how she was happy to see that Candy was going on tour with Escape, and how she's happy they were able to work out their issues. And Candy's like, yeah, it was a long process, but it is what it is. So Portia then said, yeah, because I see that and I be thinking like, well, dang, I hope we can get back to that point. We can be friends again, honey. And she said, because I want to come to your show. And Candy said, well, I'm not going to invite your ass. And she bust out laughing. I'm like, she might have laughed, but she damn sure wasn't joking. She not inviting Portia nowhere at all. And I don't blame her. But, that's what she said. What she wants to be able to be around her and not have to be awkwardly avoiding her all the time. Because they're in a place where she can't get away. You know what I'm saying? If they were at anywhere else and she wanted to get up, she could do that. But you can't go nowhere on a train when it's on a goddamn train. So the next thing we see is Kenya and Portia talking. And I was surprised because, Portia put her hands on Kenya. So I don't know how cool, like, people put their hands on me. I don't know how well that will go off with everybody. So, Kenya was talking about how her husband and her on their first date, how I think she said, like, something was really far. And how like, are you complaining? And then she said, so for her, she realized that she has to not always do things like that. And she has to take responsibility for things that she do and she say. Which made Portia then say, you know what, I keep hearing people say how about, taking responsibility, being accountable for your actions. And, I really want to take accountability for the wrong I played in the whole Candy rumor. And, I just want people to know that. And then Kenya just says to her, well, you know what I think it is? I think people be saying stuff to you and you don't hear them. Like, you don't understand what they're saying. You don't take it in. So, people want to see you put words behind the actions. No, put action behind your words, and you haven't done that yet. So, it was an okay moment. It was what it was. And then, the ladies go to the wine vineyard. They stump some grapes. They had some wine. We saw Marlo deep throat some grapes, which I thought was weird. It was a nice time. They was all laughing, having a good time. Again, for the most part, that was a good part of the trip. Now, lastly, we see Kenya leave to go bury her grandmother or whatever. So, she's going away. And the ladies are then having dinner. And at dinner, we see how Marlo brings up, who thinks Kenya's really married? And, let's take a vote. Who thinks she's really married? And, what I'm saying? And why has no one met her husband? And this is my issue with Marlo. Let me get her act together real quick. Marlo was a shit starter. And I say that because if you remember from episode when the whole Kenya and Kim fight happened, Marla was the one who asked Kenya then, why haven't we met your husband? She keeps bringing up Kenya's husband in a group setting to start some kind of conversation, argument, or whatever with anyone about Kenya's husband because no one has met him yet. And the issue I have with that is everyone does not start dating someone or marry someone and immediately and introduce them to people, even though you should always, even though you would think that a person would introduce their husband or fiance to their friends. I think Kenya's situation is different because those friends, Cynthia, Candy, Nene, those are her TV friends. Even though she's probably friends with them outside of TV, her husband does not want to be on the show. So technically, while this is being taped, he don't want to be there because he don't want to be on the show. So Kenya is doing what she's supposed to do as a wife. She's respecting her husband's wishes for the time being and giving him time to come to the conclusion of, you might have to be on TV for a minute, boo-boo. But right now, he don't want to do that. So Marlo is being a shit starter. Marlo is trying to get her Peach any way she sees fit. Marlo wants to get a Peach to be the shit starter. Marlo wants to take Sheree's place. That's what she wants to do. Because if you notice, Marlo and Sheree does the same thing. Marlo and Sheree brings up whatever drama's in the group. They bring it to the forefront. Or if there's a secret issue, she brings it up. That's what they both do. So that's she trying to get a Peach. So from there, Cynthia's like, everyone isn't open like you are, because if you get married, you might want everyone to see your husband. She's like, Kenya's somebody different. Y'all don't do things the same way or whatever. Eventually Cynthia got up because she didn't want to hear them talking against or about Kenya. And I respect her for that for one reason. You can't sit in front of me and talk about my friend. Ain't gonna happen. Not one day on this earth. I'm gonna either cuss your ass out or I'm gonna get up and leave before I punch you in the face because you're not gonna disrespect my friend. And I think her getting up, which is her way of saying, I'm not going to participate in the bullshit of y'all fucking with Kenya. But also, I'm hurt that I haven't met her husband. So I'm not gonna sit here and stew in it. I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna leave and I'm gonna do whatever it is. And even Candy says, you know, she support her friend. If she wants to support Kenya in her marriage and if her husband doesn't want to be involved in this show right now, and so for that reason he hasn't met people, let her support her friend. You know, Nene goes out after her and is asked what's wrong. And Cynthia kind of does admit, you know, it did hurt her that she wasn't invited to the wedding and she's surprised that she hasn't met him yet. And that's kind of the reason she walked off. But also that, you know what I'm saying, she's like, Kenya is married, you know, she's happy. Y'all talk about her when she's single. Y'all talk about her when she's not single. You know, she gets the hardest time with her relationship. So, and I agree, I'm not bringing my man around y'all because when I have brought a man around y'all be like I paid for him. I'm not going to bring my man around y'all who already don't want to be on TV and then he get on here and y'all fucking with him and y'all can mess up my marriage. So she's doing it for a reason. She's being an adult about it. You know, Cynthia does go back in there and, you know, she says that she's also hurt that, you know, she was invited and, you know, that's another reason why she left. But, you know, and that was basically the end of the episode. So, you know, I liked it was what it was. Please take a moment and put your comments down below about either my review or the show or just whatever you feel fit. And I am done for today. Well, not done for today because I'm about to watch The Walking Dead season finale. And I will be back with you guys later and tomorrow and the rest of the week. So, I am Jay Lee. This is Jaylee's Corner.